So Jerry talked about this, I think a couple of weeks ago. He made me read it, and now he set me on a freaking mission. It seems like, because I've
I
been
sent you the
tripping
comic,
on my
right?
mind. Yes, you did. Shout out to Jerry for hooking me up. So I read it, and then I ended up reading how Krakoa ended, because I was like, what the hell is going on? Because it just didn't seem right to me that, Krakoa was something that, Hickman wrote, and it just seemed like something that they were just on for a while. And it just, to me, it just seems that it ended so abruptly. Like, I thought that there was gonna be more of an epic ending to this Krakoa like era.
Well,
And
so
it just didn't seem it just felt like, bro, it literally just felt like it just ended like fast.
no, so they did, and I haven't read it. So basically, Krakoa, for those of you that don't know, is a nation state island for mutants, founded by mutants, and it started with a two different comic series written by the same writer, Jonathan Hickman, who is 100%, no questions asked, the greatest Marvel Comics writer to ever live. Uh, and there are there's the Powers of X and House of X, and each are 5 issues. You're supposed to read them, and this is kind of Jonathan Hickman's thing. He does 2 series at a time, and they're meant to be read together. So you read issue 1, you read issue 1, you read 2, and so forth. Anyway, they did that. Then they did a Jonathan Hickman XMen series, and then Jerry Duggan, I'm pretty sure that's who did the second one. I've only read the first, like, the beginning, which is the House of X, Powers of X saga, which is about the founding of Krakoa. And then there's just XMen.
Yeah.
That one's by Jonathan. And then there's a second XMen series by Jerry Duggan. But then they did the fall of Powers of X and the fall
Exactly.
of House of X series.
And that's
And that's
what
how they ended it.
yeah, and it's weird, but so like Orcus attacks like Krakoa, and then basically the X-Men goes underground, right? And then it just seems like X-Men did some counterattacks, and they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna end the organization. It just seems weird to me personally. Like,
I gotta read it.
yeah, like, and like the
I
X-Men bring
also feel
down
like it's
Orchid.
unfair to you to fully judge this story because you haven't read it in full yet either.
Yes, but like the ending, and because I watched like the first half of it on Comics Explained, and then I read the ending, and it just, like, I don't know, I didn't expect it more of a epic ending. Like, yes, they take down Orcus, but it's like, I just thought it would be more epic. That's my opinion. And
You
then
know, the
but
truth, the beginning was epic, and Jonathan Hickman wrote the beginning,
the
and I'm pretty
beginning
sure
was dope.
he didn't write the ending.
Yeah, it just didn't seem too epic for me personally. And I feel like even when I read the old school X-Men comics, they all had epic endings, you know. So maybe I'm just, anyways. Okay, so let's talk about this X-Men reboot in the comics, because they have relaunched it, and it's something that was weird. So I saw that Tom Brevoort's name was in the X-Men team, and I know he was the editor of the Avengers comics, and now he's on the X-Men line. And the rumor is that this happened because apparently Feige wants this to be connected to what he's going to do in Marvel. And because, I mean, and if you guys don't know, Feige is a high-ranking, person in Marvel, period. So, all the Marvel comics, everything that happens in Marvel goes through him. So he knows what is going on. And so what is in this comic? So, I mean, from what I read, and you can also comment on this, and this is what makes me happy. It seems like, the X-Men is back to its roots, which is they're fighting for a humanity that is very suspect of them. And that very first issue really, like, brings it back to that. I think Cyclops was super dope in it, bro. And what even got me hyped was when Beast was saying that, like, Scott is like basically the greatest leader that he has ever been with in his whole life, which, is just building this idea. And not to mention, this is the Beast that was with the Avengers. So, I mean, he's basically saying that Scott is a better tactical leader than Cap. Where am I at here? Okay, now there are rumors, and so this is all in my notes here. There are rumors that the Judgment Day concept will be adapted into the new X-Men comic books. And basically, this is where the Eternals realize that the mutants are deviants, and that basically they want to destroy the mutants. So we will see like a mutants and a Eternals war. Now, if this is true, I do believe that this will happen in the MCU. And I'm not going to lie, and you and I have talked about over 1,000 times how the Eternals could link in here. I do think a Eternals versus X-Men battle will be dope. But also,
So
what's up?
you do know that like literally like last year or 2 years ago, I forget, there was a crossover comic and it was called Axe Judgment Day, and Axe stood for Avengers, X-Men, Eternals.
Yes, and that's where I'm about to go, okay? Because and we're gonna talk about this with Avengers 5, because also with the Eternals, this also brings in the topic of the Avengers. And with Captain America Brave New World, hint, and with them blatantly, showing us that George Washington Bridge is most likely going to be Giancarlo's character, which he deals with mutants, he deals with Cable, he deals with the X-Force, and they're blatantly kind of showing us that, right? And then with also the Deadpool and Wolverine hints that this is the new era of the X-Men. I think we are getting the X-Men streamlined into the MCU right now. And a lot of people might hate on that. I think that is the best decision that they are ever going to make. I know people want to wait until the freaking reboot, but these characters should have been in here after Endgame, right after Endgame was over. So if this is true, if Feige is using the comics to mirror this, I think this is a masterclass idea by the team at Marvel. Number one, but by the way, those X-Men costumes in that comic are fire. Cyclops suit with the freaking X across, awesome.
Yeah.
I think was sick. But I also would be, and I was against this at first, Jerry, but like when I sit and think about it, Bob Iger said on that Disney call, he said that they're focusing on the big characters and the big teams that they have, and with the state that Marvel's in, you need big hitters. And I think that if you streamline the X-Men into this, and what if Avengers 5? What if Avengers 5 is axed? That could be a possible thing. That could be a very, very possible thing. So, or there could be some build up to that after. And I think that is a W on Marvel's part. Would I be upset about them pushing back Kang a little bit more? Yes, because I love Kang the Conqueror. But if you don't have that story, you got to just pivot, bro. And that's kind of where I'm at with Marvel at this point.
So if Marvel is bringing in the X-Men now, which I can't imagine they're not, there's no way Kevin Feige would say this is where the mutant story begins about Deadpool, Wolverine, and the only mutants in that movie be mutants that we may not see again. Having said that, if they are bringing the mutants in, I think that they are going to just go all the F out. And if we're going to have mutants, if we're going to have Avengers, if we're going to have Fantastic Four, like, I just don't think that Marvel is going to be in a position where they are like, our universe is big, it's complicated, it has a lot going on, and we're not going to be apologetic about it. And I think that's a good thing. If they're going to do it, you can't worry about the people who only want to watch the Avengers movies, which it's crazy because who's like that? Like, there are people like that, I guess, but like, you can't try to please everyone. You never will. And I think especially since Disney Plus, like, it is so easy to watch everything of the MCU, and I know a lot of people got into the MCU for the first time during COVID because of Disney Plus. And, listen, I thought for a while that the X-Men were coming after Secret Wars. I was like, there's no way they're going to do it, but they're doing it, and it's going to be crazy. I don't want them. Here's the other thing. If they are bringing in the mutants alongside the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, why do they have to get rid of Kang? Like, they don't have to get rid of Kang. And if they're going to bring everyone in and go absolutely all the F out, you don't have to get rid of Kang. And I don't think the Kang story didn't work. I think that, and I'm just going to say it because he's a total clown and he deserves it. But Jeff, I enjoyed
Say it.
Ant-Man. I enjoyed Ant-Man Quantumania, but Jeff Loveness is a terrible writer. He wrote some of the cringiest dialogue I've ever heard, not just in the MCU, ever. I don't think Kang didn't work. I think Jeff Loveness didn't work. I don't think Ant-Man was the right hero to go up against Kang in his MCU debut. And now it didn't work out with Marvel and Jonathan Majors. So I think everything around Kang didn't work. And Kang, the character, in a lot of people's eyes, is kind of he's paying the price for all of these poor decisions. And it sucks because Kang is one of the best villains of all time, and he deserves justice. And us fans who want to see the Kang story, like, I don't want to be robbed of that because of poor decisions. Because you know what? It would be another poor decision to not continue the Kang story because of other decisions that impacted Kang. And that's just the truth of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree because I think that they're still going with Kang. I don't think they're canceling Kang.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just think that they're treating Kang like Thanos.
And he's going to have a shorter time in the MCU.
Yeah, because I think that the initial plan was to have Majors, be in a bunch of movies. That's why he signed the $20 million deal, right? It's to and you guys might hate me.
He signed a $20 million. No.
Not to mention, I think he's coming back, but that's just my opinion. And if you look at the press, it seems like he's making a comeback. Wouldn't be shocked if he's back in that role. But
if I lost a $20 million bag,
no, he still got paid.
Okay.
Yeah, he still got paid. He's still getting paid. But anyways, as we speak. But Jonathan,
by the way, if you don't think that impacts Marvel's budget, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. And that's why I think he could possibly come back. I think that the original plan was to have Kang popping up everywhere, which we did. He was in Loki. Then we ended up seeing him in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think he was going to pop up in other projects as well. And when the whole thing happened, I think that their thought is like, okay, we're going to pull back and we're going to make Avengers 5 X-Men versus Avengers. That's what I think that they're going to do with the Eternals coming in, which I think is going to be fun. And I think that we're going to see maybe a 2-part movie with Kang in Secret Wars, which, would I rather have Kang pop up everywhere? Yes. But if we're going to get a 2-movie deep dive on him, I wouldn't be mad at that either. And I think that that's going to be their response to all this drama happening of like, we're just going to make Kang the most menacing villain ever in 2 movies and let him rock that way instead of making him pop up everywhere because, of just the issues that they've had. They've offered the roles to a lot of people and they've turned it down. And another reason why I think Jonathan is going to come back. But anyways, but yeah, so that's kind of what I think is going to happen with Kang, bro. But I do think that, kind of how even though Thanos was the end game, right? No pun intended. We still had Civil War, right? We still had Spider-Man Homecoming, and all of those films. I think that Avengers versus X-Men movie, I think would be probably the biggest movie of all time, number 1. But I also think that it would build a lot of groundwork for a character like Kang the Conqueror to shake up the world. Because think about this, right? Fans will be so obsessed with the X-Men, with the Fantastic Four, with the Eternals if they're coming into this, and then you just bring Kang the Conqueror to just tear ish up. I think that fans would love that.
Number 1, Kang the Conqueror doesn't belong in Avengers versus X-Men story.
No. He will come. He will come way much long. No, he will come after that. So like you will have that story, right? Just like Civil War, and then you will have a movie kind of like how Thor Ragnarok, right? Has nothing to do with Thanos, but the ending bridges right to it. Like something like that, to where we're so obsessed with it, and Kang just comes out of nowhere, bro. And we're like, what the frick?
It would be cool for the X-Men to get their debut as an adversary of the Avengers. However, what everyone needs to understand about Avengers vs. X-Men is that they don't start out beefing in Avengers vs. X-Men, because Avengers and X-Men aren't adversaries. And it starts out because the Phoenix power is like on its way from space to Earth, and the Captain America was like, you guys can't have that. That is going to cause chaos, so we're going to hold it. And Cyclops was not having it. They get it. And, obviously it goes to, why am I blanking on her name? Jean Grey. And eventually Cyclops summons it and he goes wild.
Yeah. I don't think they have to use that storyline though. I think there could be a beef already brewing there. And if you bring back Steve Rogers, I think that's the perfect way to start a beef with someone like Steve Rogers and Cyclops. Like, I think you can start beefs. And if Wolverine's a hothead already, bro, imagine Wolverine and Thor just talking like Thor's already a hothead, and with Wolverine, I mean, like, I think there's elements where you can build like the beef already brewing. But my contingency is this, Jeremy. Like, for that to happen, we need RDJ and Chris Evans back. I don't want to see that without Chris Evans as Captain America.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? And you need to pay that man
but
money.
The problem with that though is I don't think they can. I don't think, and I love Steve Rogers, Captain America, but if they are going to establish Sam Wilson as Captain America and you need someone to fill the Captain America role, you can't have Steve Rogers do it, because if you do that, you're nerfing Sam Wilson for the rest of his tenure as his Captain America.
That'll just have to happen. That'll just have to happen, man. Sorry.
And by the way, I think Sam Wilson would do well in that role. And keep in mind, by the way, like, if you're just watching this clip and for whatever reason you don't watch the show, I'm going to give you a little breakdown on other things Marvel has done. In Infinity War, it was Adam Warlock who defeated Thanos. They change characters in their MCU versions of the comics, and they shift roles around based on what works for them in the MCU at that time, all the time. And I don't think any of us have the luxury of being able to tell them to do it any differently, because guess what? They have created the most successful and largest franchise in movies ever, and everyone is trying to do what they have done. So
100%.
Yeah.
So as a group, we are pro X-Men getting streamlined into the MCU. If you guys didn't know, we are pro. We just don't want the old ones. We want a new team.
100%.
If you want to keep Hugh Jackman, I'll live with that. But